Hello and welcome. Today we will be discussing the case study of Microsoft Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death by Minh, Tran, Kenneth, and William. In 2001, Microsoft joined the video game market with the release of the Xbox gaming console. Later, in 2005, Microsoft released its second iteration of the Xbox 360. From its initial release, the console was plagued with hardware difficulties. The most notable hardware failure that occurred to the Xbox 360 were three flashing red lights around the Xbox power button. This error was soon nicknamed the Red Ring of Death. Warning signs included freeze-ups, graphical problems in the middle of gameplay, and extremely loud sound errors. These events would happen once or several times before the general hardware failure signal appeared. Sometimes there was no warning of the red crash whatsoever. Next, Kenneth will speak on a personal statement.
As a kid, I experienced Microsoft's gross mishandling firsthand. I saved up hundreds of my own dollars, which wasn't easy to come up with as a broke teenager, and purchased an Xbox 360 brand new off the shelf. I was ecstatic. Sadly, only a few months later, I experienced the Red Ring of Death. I put in a call to Microsoft support, only to be told my Xbox was out of the 90-day warranty window, and I was out of luck. I was crushed. With no way to afford a new Xbox, I set out to do some research online. What I found was astonishing. Reports from all around the globe, people who experienced the same issues that I was dealing with. How could Microsoft, a company that I revered and trusted, allow this to happen? Will discuss some of the specific issues that the Xbox 360 was facing.
Problems with the system included specialized design flaws, deficient end-to-end tests, and putting design over engineering, all because Microsoft took a design-first approach. As a result of poor production quality and the shortcomings from Microsoft, customers of the Xbox 360 gaming console experienced general hardware failure, power cords being potential fire hazards, damaged game disks, and overheating issues. New data was ignored to protect the status quo of the public. Due to these events, customer satisfaction and loyalty diminished. Next, Kenneth will speak on mishandling.
Microsoft purposely concealed the excessive failure rate in fear of losing its competitive edge over the imminent launch of both PlayStation 3 and the Nintendo Wii consoles. Yet, as early as November 2005, there were a number of issues appearing in articles portraying the Xbox 360 failure rates ranging from 23% to as high as 54%. Instead of owning up to the failure of their hardware, Microsoft doubled down and released their own failure rate testing to show a significantly lower number. This prompted a multitude of lawsuits against Microsoft and initially, a warranty extension was given from 90 days to 1 year. After significant backlash over more faulty hardware, another warranty extension from 1 year to 3 years was announced. This cost Microsoft a staggering $1.15 billion. With over 84 million units sold worldwide, the extended warranty amounts to over $100 per unit sold. Return rates on Microsoft's console were reported to be as high as 33%. As a comparison, Robert Heiblum, an expert in consumer electronics and technology markets, places a return rate of only 5 to 10% on most proper performing consumer electronics. It wasn't until 2009 that Microsoft finally fixed their issues with the Xbox 360. Minh will now explain how Microsoft failed to follow the basic engineering codes of ethics.
So here, in the face of continuous stream of products returned and customer complaints, those who were responsible for the project were unwilling to acknowledge that the problem was serious and that customer satisfactions and loyalty were decreasing rapidly, and that the product needed to be redesigned, and that the customer satisfaction needed to be addressed. The sunk cost trap also plays another role in this case. So in the sunk cost trap, a course of action is not abandoned because considerable time or money has already been spent on the project, and those in charge are reluctant to abandon the project or take steps to delay the project in any way. For the Xbox, considerable investment in the product has already been made. Sales were strong, and since the division had yet to turn into the profits, there was a pressure to continue to do it anyway. Successful completion of a project requires finishing the scope of work within the budgets and times, meeting the quality expectation and managing risk. All of these must be done while assuring the customer satisfaction. So what Microsoft could have been done? First is set sensible cutoff time. So Microsoft should have been made the arrangement for an increasingly practical discharge of products and complaints from the customer. Second is set buffer. There appear to be no buffer sets for the cutoff times. Regularly, an undertaking includes about 20% buffer, both for the time and cost that should have been set at the beginning. Next is the risk assessment. Various situations like that should have been played out. For example, we could do accepting the return rate and the possibility of risk mitigation plan should have been reduced for every one of these situations. Next is using immediate feedback. The first round of the feedback rolling from the market should have been used immediately to refine the item and stop further concern. This would have Microsoft probably safe rather than burning down $1 billion. And lastly, plan for a pilot. Microsoft could have arranged a pilot, which means when you sell the item just to focus, gathering, let the customer use the items for a certain time, like 3 months. Then after that, gather their feedback, iron out the errors, and then afterward, mass produce the reconsidered items. All right, to also end our presentation for the case of the Xbox. Thank you for listening.